Hello friends and welcome back today. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video and discussing a question a commenter brought up a few nights ago. But I think discussing this question is a wonderful way of letting you guys know my philosophy behind mod reviews. So the question was, why test things in a load order opposed to a clean save? And I will let you know that my mind has changed over time on this. I originally was testing things in a clean save, and I was kind of following the crowd. A lot of other mod reviewers do test things in clean saves, but that's not how you guys use them. And my mind has been changed by a lot of you commenters having struggles with your load order and getting mods to work. I think the best way to illustrate this is going to be describing the difference between QA and UAT. So QA is usually the first step in testing a piece of software. This is typically done in a vacuum by quality assurance testers, and basically they're going to be testing to make sure the software is working as it is intended to work. And this is very great for debugging because you don't have to worry about other things influencing it, etc. What it lacks from is real world use cases. And this is where you would get a select group of users involved and you would do a UAT. And what this does is this tests for real world use cases. How do users actually use this, etc. This can result in better instructions for how to use a piece of software, and also patches where they patch things into the software. Like, I wasn't anticipating users to do that, but we can go ahead and patch that in. And this is very important in the software development process because it makes sure that things are accepted by the users. You know, at the end of the day, you guys are using these mods and they need to be tested like how you use them. For example, I can give real quick of how I test things like a user. If a mod does not have any load order instructions, what I do is I just click the download button and then I start recording and we see what the heck happens. This can be very important for, one, me disclosing if there are any load order considerations that do need to be taken when using a mod, and two, this can be help mod authors better write descriptions so that they can inform the public of like how their mod should be placed within a load order. But this brings us to my load order. So going forward, I am going to be disclosing the core elements of my load order. It's really not going to be feasible to disclose the entirety of it because it's really long and nasty. But what I can do is I can disclose the core elements of it, the gameplay overhauls, the content overhauls. These are things that are designed to interact with other mods and potentially can break with other mods or break other mods. So I can start from now on disclosing that. One thing I will say is anytime I do find a conflict, I do not hold it against the mod. I do disclose it, but I don't hold it against the mod because a mod author, it is really not possible for them to test every possible combination, nor is it possible for me to do that. What I can do is I can have a curated list of very commonly used gameplay overhauls and content overhauls that a lot of people are using and test with that. And this is going to, basically find a lot of issues with mods that a lot of users will experience. I'm not going to find every single edge case that does occur, but I can find, if there are major problems with a mod and it conflicting with other mods, or if it's not that resilient. But this brings me to what happens if I do run into issues with a mod. So, Now, I will say that most defects that I see are like just like visual defects. They don't really impact gameplay or anything like that. But if I do run into a game breaking bug, that is when I would probably pop up my clean save. And I do have clean saves for testing. And basically, I would go ahead and try to replicate the issue and narrow it down to, is it a conflict or is this a bug with the actual mod itself? Which I can easily do with a clean save. I can go ahead and replicate issues with a clean save. And I think that's kind of important to kind of replicate issues with a clean save. And a lot of times in my reviews, you'll see a little blurb maybe on load order considerations or a defect that I found, but I won't really show like the full diagnostic video. Those things get cut up and are usually turned into guide videos on load order in general, whether it's me discussing like how to safely uninstall mods or me discussing like how to like manage your load order. Those videos I do put out, and I'd highly suggest watching those because like a lot of problems can be resolved just by understanding how load orders work or how to safely uninstall mods, and just general things for people to know. But I guess to kind of summarize and wrap up this video, I think mod reviews should be done in a UAT style as opposed to a QA style where we're testing things in a vacuum. I do think this should be the case because you guys, at the end of the day, you are not playing these mods in a vacuum. You are plugging this into your load order and you want to see, is this going to work? How's it going to play with other mods? Is this mod resilient enough to put into my load order, or am I going to have major issues that occur when I try to do that? And that's ultimately what I'm trying to do with these reviews. Is I'm trying to do a user acceptance testing where I'm trying to use this as an actual user and then disclose whatever issues I had by doing that to properly inform you. That way you can have an enjoyable experience when you try to boot up a mod. That way, you know, if there's no load order instructions in the description, you might get it from me. And what problems I had by just, you know, clicking a download button. So that's kind of my thoughts. My principle around how I conduct reviews is this is a user acceptance testing. It's not a QA, so I'm not, you know, firing things up in a vacuum, which, you know, it has its purpose, but I don't think for mod reviews, I don't think it's an appropriate thing to do because I don't think users at the end of the day are doing that. And users at the end of the day, they want to know, hey, does this mod play well with other mods, or am I going to run into problems? But as always, please enjoy your night.